Well, welcome to Focus Today, and hey, we are delighted to have one of our own homegrown in the studio today, and Rich Swingle's with us. He's a graduate from Phoenix High School, and he's here to tell us about some of the documentaries he's working on, some of the work that he does. He's an actor and gets all over the place. You've been all over the world.
Well, 25 nations so far.
Wow.
That I've performed or taught in. I've visited a few more.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, welcome. Nice to see you.
Oh, it's great to be here.
And what got you into acting?
Well, when I was a kid, I was cast as Mr. Beaver in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe when I was in 4th grade.
Really?
And, yeah. In high school, I was at Medford Friends Church, and we had a youth group there, and we'd perform all over the state. We'd take over services. I remember playing Muammar Gaddafi, and we kidnapped our youth pastor one day and raised cans for the hungry. So, yeah. And then in college, I was in a drama troupe, and I went to seminary at Gordon Conwell. And while I was there, I just had a really clear sense from the Lord. I was sick for a whole week, which rarely happens in my life, and just sensed a really clear call that I wasn't to minister behind a pulpit, but on a stage.
Wow. Good for you. Good for you. Well, tell us about the documentary. Of course, you've been also doing Beyond the Chariots all over the place.
Yes, and the documentary is actually how we took Beyond the Chariots to Puerto Rico, Transylvania, and London during the 2 weeks of the Olympics. And we reached people from 30 different nations, all of the inhabited continents.
All right, so this debuts this week?
Yes.
Tell us about it.
On Wednesday. And so the focus of the documentary is kind of using this trip to show the power of drama, how it can be used to warm people's hearts to the message that God loves them.
Oh, that's wonderful. And where can people see it?
It'll be at Medford Friends Church. That's Wednesday night at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
And Medford Friends is at 525 DeBar Avenue, which is right on the Y
of the
Table Rock Road.
Yeah, you can't miss it there. And so this has been quite a project for you.
It has been.
Who wrote it? Did you write it? Or?
Yes, yeah. And we were just there, and it kind of started out as just a little thank you note for people who had supported the trip, because you know, this is my full-time work, and so I don't really have a support base. And so for a trip like this, it really took people coming behind us to make it happen. And so I thought I'd, just bless them with a little documentary. But as I was over there and doing these interviews, I saw that it was something, much more important, that it really showed how God is working through the arts around the world.
I am so glad to see Christians take the arts back, so to speak.
Amen.
We're seeing it not only in broadcasting, but we're seeing it in theater.
Yeah.
We're seeing it in art,
That's right.
And writing and everything else. I just think it's wonderful. How was the reception during the Olympics?
It was well received. We were in. The first performances were actually in the Salvation Army's International College of Officers, and they had people from 14 different nations just right there. Their focus is to bring people from around the world that they want to raise up. It's almost like a mini doctorate of divinity.
Wow.
And so they don't have to speak English. So there were 7 people that only spoke Tamil, 2 from Sri Lanka and 5 from India, and they actually translated Beyond the Chariots into Tamil for these 7 people.
No kidding. Wow, what a task, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so you think you'll be working with the Olympics in the future?
Yes, I've been invited to lead a team actually into Sochi, Russia, for the Winter Olympics. And
you may want to talk to Paulina before you go. It's real cold there. It's real cold.
I'll pack my parka.
Yeah.
But also for the 2016 games in Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, there's nothing firm right now, but at that International College of Officers was a woman whose aunt is organizing events for the Salvation Army. So there's a really good chance that we'll set some things up there as well.
Same play, or are you going to be modifying some?
Beyond the Chariots, if I can still run in 2016, I think I'll be there.
Okay. Now you're going to Africa?
Yes, yeah, and in fact we're...
For Beyond?
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because while I was there in London, I had invitations to perform in Malawi, Nigeria, and South Africa.
Wow.
And the fellow from Nigeria, I was asking him, do you think this play would be received there? And he said to me, because it's all about Kenya. I'm going over there to perform and teach at a conference of educators that are gathering at the Rift Valley Academy just outside of Nairobi, which was where my mom and my aunt were kids as my grandfather was teaching and my grandma was doing flannel graphs out in the market, and she was playing accordion, and all of this was going on in the 40s. Now, I've never been to, this is the last continent besides Antarctica that I haven't performed on, and so, you know, it's kind of coming full circle for me to get back there. And I asked them, the folks from Nigeria and Malawi, do you think this play would work there? And they said to me, you know, think of Kenya, and think of how focused on running they are. Well, the rest of the African nations are also jazzed about it, so he thinks it'll be the play to take. I
just think that's wonderful. Again, it's called Beyond the Chariots, and you can see it this coming Wednesday night at the Friends Church, and that's kind of right there at the Y on Table Rock. What's the crossroad? The address of the church?
Oh, 525 DeBar.
DeBar. So it's DeBar in Table Rock, where they kind of does a Y. There's a 7-Eleven store. People know where it is. Big church. Be there at what time?
Well, just to clarify, Beyond the Chariots, the play, and the documentary is Grace to the Nations.
Grace to the Nations.
7 o'clock.
Thank you.
Friends Church.
Thank you. Too much to remember here. You know, I want to come back to your passion for the arts, and just for a moment. And what do you say to somebody that feels that tug to go that way?
Well, I tell them to apply to Masterworks.
Well, good.
I'm the director of the theater program at the Masterworks Festival, and it's a month-long intensive. This year, we're bringing our students, after 3 weeks of developing a play in Winona Lake, Indiana. It's this beautiful, picturesque city where Billy Sunday was raised, and he held revivals there. Billy Graham has held revivals there. Wow. And now this festival rolls into town once a year for a whole month, and 5 weeks actually. And so for theater, we're taking our play, we're developing it there, and then we're taking it to New York. We're going to perform in an off-Broadway play, off-Broadway theater rather to say.
So if in 5 weeks, what do they learn there?
Well, it's a focus on the arts. We bring in masterclass instructors. Muse Watson of NCIS is going to Skype in with us, and in the past we've had Bev Holloway, who was the casting director on over 30 different movies, and she's done most recently Trade of Innocence, which just came out not too long ago. She did like Dandelion Dust, etc. John Kirby has been a masterclass instructor, and he's worked on as an acting coach on over 20 films.
So if somebody wants to sign up for that, what do they do?
Go to masterworksfestival.org.
Masterworksfestival.org. There you go, all you budding actors and actresses.
And they've got orchestra, dance, vocal program. Yep.
Oh, that's wonderful. All right, again, before we run out of time, highlight what you're doing Wednesday night.
Wednesday night, we're going to show a documentary that focuses on my trip to Puerto Rico, Romania, and London during the during the Summer Olympics.
Okay. By the way, what was your experience in Romania? How was that go?
It was honestly the highlight of the trip. After we performed Beyond the Chariots, this gentleman came up to me and said, "Can you tell me more about Jesus?"
Really?
And there was a girl there that was focused on vampires, and you know, she went up to the altar to give her life to the Lord, and we've been in correspondence over Facebook. And you know, she asked what we did on our day off, and I said we went to Sighișoara, and she said, "Oh, that's where Dracula was born." And I said, you know,
really?
The interesting thing about Dracula is he took people's blood so that he could live forever, whereas Jesus gave his blood so that we could live forever.
What an incredible comeback. Good for you.
The other thing about it was, we were right in the very county where Richard Wurmbrand was put in a box, and nails were pounded in there, so he'd have to stand days on end. And there, we were laughing our heads off. It was like God ministered through laughter and brought this joy to this region that had suffered so much.
Wow. Well, we work with the Village of Hope in Romania, which is a place where they take kids out of, really out of the orphanages, and even older children, and they try to match them with families to be adopted.
It's fabulous.
And when you hear the stories in Romania, it's just staggering.
Oh yeah, we heard story after story. Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, let me encourage you. I don't know what you're doing Wednesday night. Ask for a pass from your church. I'm sure your pastor will be fine. Go on over to the Friends Church. Be there at 7 o'clock at the corner. It's kind of on the Y there on Table Rock. You can't miss it. And take a look at this documentary of how Rich has really traveled the world and ministered through theater and through the arts. I just so glad to see this. And so what's in the future for you? What's next down the road? What do you think?
Well, I'm hoping to do more movies. I just performed in my 9th film, and that was Beyond the Mask. And John Kirby was actually the acting coach on that film.
Really?
And so it was fun to work in a new relationship with him. So that was really fun.
Do you think there's opportunity for ministry in the arts? I mean, behind the scenes of acting with other people who are there for different reasons?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, people have different gifts, and God can use them in any capacity. We have, at the Masterworks Festival, for instance, we've got an internship program. People can sign up and they actually get paid. The students coming
money.
pay tuition, but the interns actually come and they get paid, and they're working behind the scenes and ministering in a capacity that way.
Well, Rich, thank you. Again, Rich Swingle, check it out this Wednesday night at the Friends Church at 7 o'clock. You can see the documentary and learn more about the Master's program that he has coming up in the summer. And again, if they want to learn more about that, they go to where?
Masterworksfestival.org.
Masterworksfestival.org. All right, there you go. Check it out. Thanks, Rich.
You
God bless
bet.
you.